welcome to the Basketball Hall of Fame tip-off on ESPN3. It's game 2 of our doubleheader as the Florida State Seminoles face the Providence Friars live from Mohegan Sun Arena in Uncasville, Connecticut. And welcome everybody. Doug Sherman along with former BC Eagle Malcolm Huckabee. We get a chance to see two teams and two programs here that are getting much more accustomed to winning these days.
Well, both of these coaches have done a fantastic job with their programs. Leonard Hamilton with FSU, can't say enough about him. 9 straight postseason appearances, 4 in the NCAA, 5 NITs. All the guy does is win. And then Ed Cooley last season for Providence picks up their first Big East championship in about 20 years. So these two guys have their programs going in the right direction.
Well, the player to watch for the Seminoles is not from the Sunshine State. He's from the Buckeye State. Aaron Thomas from Cincinnati.
Aaron Thomas is a nightmare matchup. He's a guy that is going to contend for Player of the Year in the ACC. He can score it from the perimeter. He excels in the open court. Providence is going to have their hand full trying to keep this guy under control.
And for Providence, LaDante Henton, really the foundation player for this program.
Ed Cooley sums it up best. He's a leader. When you look at LaDante Henton, ever since he stepped foot on Providence's campus, he has led this team. He's a guy right now averaging close to 19 points a game. He rebounds. He's another guy that's not going to wow you with his athleticism, but when you, at the end of the day, he leads his team. He's a very important piece for Providence.
For Florida State, they will line up this way around Aaron Thomas. Keep your eye on Monte Brandon, 6'8" junior from Greensboro, North Carolina, averaging 14 points per game. He has yet to miss a shot from the floor this year. A perfect 12 for 12. Head coach Leonard Hamilton in year number 13 with the Seminoles. He took this team to the NIT semifinals a year ago where they finished 22-14. And for the Friars, also keep your eye on Chris Dunn. His head coach says that he has an NBA body, but not an NBA player yet. Finally healthy, and he is coming off his best game since he got to college with PC. And there is his head coach, Ed Cooley, in year number 4 since leaving Fairfield University and heading up the road to Providence to his hometown. And he has turned into a conquering hero. 1988 graduate of Central High School in Providence, and he has gone back to his hometown school and turned them into a winner, taking them to the NCAA tournament last year with a 23-12 record. First time since 1994 they were Big East champs.
That Florida State comes out in man-to-man. Both these teams want to get after you on the defensive end, then get out in transition and try to get some early offense.
Here is Henton for 3. Well, against Navy the last time out, Henton went for 22 points, needed only 20 minutes to get there. Off to a quick start here today.
So efficient. A guy that shoots close to 50% from the floor. He also has the ability to stretch the D.
Devin Booker blocked by Dunn, gets it back. Seminoles still with it. DeRozier with the block shot. Cartwright's pass deflected away. Comes to the Friars, and Dunn with a chance for 3.
Providence coming out right now. A lot of energy. Starts with good defense. And then this is what they want to do. Block you, and then they're off to the races trying to get early offense. And that's a good sign if you're head coach Ed Cooley. Your guys coming out with a lot of energy. And then they're finishing on the other end.
That foul was on Kyle Turpin, his first. 5-0 Friars. Seminoles with the basketball. Booker given room to shoot. Instead, he defers to Thomas. His first shot is off the mark. And Turpin picks up his second personal foul. And so the son of former Kentucky All-American Mel Turpin heads to the bench after less than 90 seconds.
And that's not a good foul right there. Thomas came off a down screen, had a pretty clean look. The rebound was secured. You don't want to reach over and pick up a foul like that.
Bad pass by Dunn, clanged off the backboard. Here come the Seminoles. 2 players blocked that shot. Well, I guess I can say Monte Brandon has missed a shot now this year. Didn't even come close to getting it to the rim. A lot of contact down the drive. The blocking foul as Tyler Harris put it on the floor.
Well, Harris has great length. Coach Cooley really likes his work ethic. He's a guy that's been in the gym. He's the younger brother of Tobias Harris, who plays for the Orlando Magic. So he's a guy obviously playing against his older brother. Certainly you're going to see improvement in his game, and they're expecting big things from him this year.
And talking to Coach Cooley yesterday, just raved about the improvement of the younger Harris brother, who, like his older brother Tobias, grew up on Long Island. Coach Cooley got Harris after he left North Carolina State, transferred a little closer to home to play in the Big East Conference.
Well, he's got NBA length as he knocks down the second free throw. And one area Coach Cooley wants him to improve upon this year is the turnover.
Well, from the crowd's reaction, you can tell that we are not that far from the Providence campus. About a 45-minute drive, and the Friars have it going up 7-0. So timeout called by Florida State.
Yeah, and I like that timeout by Coach Hamilton. Right now, your team is struggling in all phases. You're down 7-0. You don't want this thing to get away from you. And really, it comes down to they need to stop the turnovers. You don't want to give Providence easy, uncontested early offense. And then on offense, they need to settle down. Obviously, I think Aaron Thomas is going to be the guy for them. And that's what they look for when things go bad. And that's the luxury that Coach Hamilton has when you have a star player in Aaron Thomas.
Well, Dante Henton hit the 3 right on the first possession to set the tone. And the Friars have picked up where they left off Thursday when they routed the Naval Academy 88-51. Henton scored 22 that night, and Chris Dunn put up one of the great stat lines you'll ever see. 12 points, a career high, 14 assists, 7 rebounds, and he did that against the midshipmen in only 26 minutes. So they're fairly well rested coming into this weekend, all things considered. All of these teams playing multiple games in a very short period of time. With Turpin out, Boris Bojanovsky had it knocked out of bounds. The Seminoles will keep it.
And this is where Dunn's length comes in. He's got an NBA-type body. Reminds me his shape of Rondo. Very long, very active on defense.
Bojanovsky puts it on the floor. Booker has his pass knocked out of bounds as the shot clock went off. That's at least the 3rd deflection by Dunn, as he is playing at both ends of the floor.
He is so long, so quick, and Coach Cooley really loves his athleticism. It's been a shame he's been injured really the last 2 years, so they're happy to have him back out on the court and healthy.
Well, his coach says that Dunn can be the best on-ball defender in the entire country if he's healthy. There's what he can do on the offensive end.
And I would agree with Coach Cooley on that.
Thomas working the baseline. That time he went around Dunn, but missed the shot. Florida State still looking for its first bucket. Henton for 3. The roof would have come off this Mohegan Sun arena had that gone down.
But it was a beautiful play that time by Dunn. Unselfish, didn't force a drive, drew the defense and kicked it out to Henton, who couldn't knock down the 3.
Aaron Thomas drawing a crowd as usual, 6'5" junior from Cincinnati. So Dunn is whistled for his first. And we get our first look at the prized freshman for Providence, Ben Benton, 6'8", 230 from Wilmington, Delaware. He replaces Carson DeRozier. Bentel so far this season through Providence's first 3 games, all wins, has been playing starters minutes comparable to DeRozier. Off the bounce, Booker left it short.
Really right now, Florida State struggling on offense. That's an area early in this season that's been problematic for Coach Hamilton.
Here's Dunn. Henton back out to Cartwright. 15 on the shot clock. Dunn tries the wraparound pass, and it goes out of bounds back to the Seminoles. Florida State will have it when we come back, still looking for their first basket. The Noles are 0 for 6 from the floor, being shut out 9-0. With Malcolm Huckabee, I'm Doug Sherman in Uncasville, Connecticut. It's game 2 of the Basketball Hall of Fame tip-off on this Saturday, and it's been all Providence so far.
And it really started with their defense. They really are bothering Florida State, getting their hands on all plays. Great block right here by DeRozan, and then they're off to the races. And sometimes, Doug, good defense really spurs your offense on, and that's the case right now with Providence. They're getting stops, and then on the other end, they're getting high percentage looks.
So now if you're Florida State, you've turned the ball over twice. You're over from the floor. What is Leonard Hamilton saying to his guys to get into a rhythm and find a flow?
Well, a couple things. They got to cut down on the turnovers, and then they got to get higher percentage shots. They've taken some shots quick in the shot clock. Really, that led to either blocks or turnovers. Dunn has done a nice job for Providence getting his hands in on things. So you got to cut down on the turnovers, handle the pressure of Providence, and get higher percentage shots. And then you got to get back on defense, whether it's make or miss or off of a turnover. You need 5 guys sprinting back. You cannot give up uncontested layups or high percentage shots to Providence.
Now, Florida State has some work to do coming off their loss to Northeastern. Thomas committed 7 turnovers in the game. Now, he did have 6 steals, but in 2 games, your best players turned it over a total of 10 times. That's a bad formula. Jarquez Smith misses his first shot attempt, and here is Dunn, the young man who, coming out of high school in New London, Connecticut, was rated 23rd in the ESPN 100. That was back in 2012. He was the number 2 rated point guard in the country. But because of recurring shoulder injuries, until now, he's not played a healthy game for the Friars. There's Bentel, this year's prize freshman.
What a beautiful pass that time by Tyler Harris through the zone, and really found a post player through that defense. That's a beautiful fat pass by Harris.
Bodies land on the floor, and Aaron Thomas once again drawing a crowd.
Speaking with Coach Hamilton, Aaron Thomas, he's been the one guy for them early in the season that has been consistent. We talked about it at the top. He's averaging close to 20 points a game. He's shooting a high percentage, 57% from the floor. They're going to need his offense. Obviously, right now they are struggling, have not scored a point until now. Aaron Thomas puts Florida State on the board.
Xavier Rattan-Mays has come into the game for the first time. He's number 22 in the background there, as Aaron Thomas shoots his second free throw.
Right now, Florida State's going to a matchup zone, it looks like, and I like the move by Coach Hamilton. Force Providence to shoot the ball from the perimeter.
DeRozier gets his shot blocked by Bojanowski. Out of bounds. Friars will keep it with 20 to shoot.
Well, good job by Providence breaking down that matchup 1-3-1 zone. Get the ball to the high post, and then you're going to have some look short corner. That time they did a good job breaking down the Florida State zone.
13 to shoot. Harris from the corner. Long rebound, Bentel, but we've got a foul against the Seminoles.
I tell you what, Ben Bentel does not look like a freshman at all. He's got a NBA size, NBA type body. He is a powerful young man, and Coach Cooley has found a good one.
Well, his decision came down to the Miami Hurricanes or the Providence Friars, and he chose PC. Young man originally from Ghana, and at 6'8", 230, as you alluded to, Malcolm, he looks like he could be an NFL tight end right now.
And you're seeing that more and more often now. They're going after some of these college guys that played college hoops. The NFL is. I wouldn't be surprised if he's one of those guys that somebody gives him a look if he doesn't make it at the NBA level.
Jalen Lindsey has come into the game. Brick thrown up by Harris. Florida State still in search of its first field goal. And a foul on Providence before the shot. You can see how young Mr. Bentel feels about that call.
Well, we knew coming into this game, both coaches really hang their hats on defense. Florida State and also Providence. It's going to be physical. And you know you're going to get nothing easy going to the basket.
Michael Ojo in for the first time. Rattan Mays off the mark with his first shot. Here's Lindsey flashing to the basketball. DeRozier blocked and fouled, and so the former Wake Forest Demon Deacon will shoot a pair.
And Doug, I've been impressed with how Providence has run their offense. This is beautiful basketball. Little slip of the screen that time by DeRozier, and he goes up strong, draws the foul. So right now, Providence doing a good job on defense, and then on the other end on offense, they're being patient, and then they're getting high percentage looks.
Well, Coach Cooley is trying to sell to anybody who will listen. I like my team. We're just really young. We're too young for our non-conference schedule. Well, all they've done is win their first 3 games, come out like gangbusters against Florida State here. And the reality is DeRozier is a 5th-year senior. LaDontae Henton has been a starter for 4 years. And while Chris Dunn has not had a ton of experience, he is still a 3rd-year college player. So they do have some good, solid veterans to make a core for what should be one of the better teams in the Big East. Florida State with its first bucket of the ball game. Michael Ojo, 7'1" junior, makes it 13-4.
Well, we're seeing some good size and length on both teams. Ojo is a monster out there. Good size, and he showed a nice touch right there. Back to the basket move, little jump hook. And
he comes up with a loose ball. By the way, for Ojo, that was his first made basket of the season.
You can tell this young man is raw, but
Harris clears the miss from Thomas. Kyron Cartwright, freshman from Compton, California at the point. Henton has it rim off. Near turnover, saved by Florida State. FSU has missed 8 of its 9 shots from the floor. So when you're struggling from the perimeter, if you're Aaron Thomas, take it to the hole.
And he's the one guy that Coach Hamilton can lean on when their offense is struggling. Told you how difficult he is to guard on the perimeter. It's been a little sloppy for Florida State, and give Providence credit. Their defense has been sound, but then Thomas bails them out with his ability to get to the rim. And nothing going right for Florida State early in this game.
And so Chris Dunn comes back into the game. He grew up just about 20 minutes from here in New London, Connecticut. And he actually would come and play pickup basketball in this arena against the WNBA team, the Connecticut Sun. But he was a huge get for Coach Cooley and his staff 3 years ago. He and Ricky Lido were quite the 1-2 punch. Lido never did wind up playing for Providence. Sat that year and wound up going straight to the NBA. But Coach Cooley and his staff continue to do very well on the recruiting trail.
And I'll say it again, Ed Cooley's underrated as a coach. You look at all the injuries that he's dealt with, and for them to win the Big East championship and get into the NCAA tournament, he did an outstanding job last year managing all the injuries that he has dealt with.
DeRozier, and he gets the shooter's roll. First 3-pointer of the year for the 5th-year senior from Windham, New Hampshire. Rattan Mays misses the mark. DeRozier from just inside the three-point line. And again, he uses every bit of the rim, but gets the ball to go through.
Well, he has that ability to knock down shots from the perimeter. First time he knocked down the three, that time from the elbow.
Friars fans don't like the call. But so far it's been all Friars. Carson DeRozier with a hot hand from the perimeter. The lead is 13. The team all by himself, but Carson DeRozier with 7 early points.
Well, this young man transferred from Wake Forest, showing the soft touch. He has the ability. He's a true 7-footer. He's really not a post player. He's a guy that wants to pick and pop, and he can create some matchup problems for opposing bigs because he has the ability to step out on the perimeter and knock down shots.
Coach Cooley was telling us yesterday that he would want a guy like DeRozier to marry his daughter. Said he's such a nice kid, and sometimes he feels like it's to his detriment as a basketball player. He wants that toughness and physicality, but he certainly brings an element that is very valuable to this Providence team.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be an important piece for them, rebounding, and obviously he has the ability, as he's shown early in his game, to stretch the defense.
And he played 2 years for Mark Vizdelek at Wake Forest and blocked a lot of shots. I mean, it's not like he was just sitting on the end of the bench. And there he may have gotten a piece as well. Loose ball, Henton after it. Smith was on the floor for Florida State. And it'll stay at this end.
Well, both these teams are getting after it, and we knew this coming into the game. Both teams are great on defense. They want to get physical in this game, and I expect to see more of that as this game progresses.
There goes DeRozier. You know, he had the most blocks by any Wake Forest freshman outside of a guy named Tim Duncan. So again, he was a productive part for 2 years with the Demon Deacons and is in his second year of being a productive piece for the Friars. Deshaun Watkins turns it over. LaDante Henton back the other way. Little lefty leaner, but it's an offensive foul.
And that time, Henton went too far. Probably should have dumped that one off. One of the rare mistakes that he's made. Nice rebound. And right there, that's good defense by Florida State, stepping in and taking the charge.
First on Henton, who was the first ever recruit for Ed Cooley after he took the job at Providence 4 years ago. Thomas with that quick first step. Coming over to block the shot, though, Pascal Chukwu. 7'2", 226 pounds.
Well, Doug, we talked about the length we're going to see in this game. We see some NBA length here. That is a big-time block by the big fella.
3 block shots so far today for the Friars. Dunn, little runner. Chukwu got a hand on it. Henton rips it away. He's denied. And a jump ball is called. Jarquez Smith at 6'9" and very long himself tied him up.
Well, early in this game, it's been all Providence as the aggressor. On offense and defense, they're going after every offensive board. And right now, Florida State is going to have to match that intensity.
Now the alternate possession. Providence keeps possession. Dunn with a basketball. Watkins defends. Five to shoot. Dunn from the foul line. Very nicely done.
Well, it was a gamble by Florida State. And when you gamble and don't get it, that's what happens. It breaks down your defense. Dunn was wide open, and he made him pay.
6 early points for the redshirt sophomore. Rattan Mays stepped to the basket. Now the follow is good. It looked like Smith was the one who knocked it in. And a break in the action with an injured Friars player. It's Dunn, who is doubled over in pain.
It looks like a little European two-step right there, and I think he got away with one right there. Coach Cooley not happy with that non-call, and much-needed bucket for Florida State.
Looks like Dunn is okay, but there's some blood on the shorts of LaDante Henton, and so the official noticed it and is going to have Henton go to the Providence bench to have it treated.
Certainly, if you're Coach Ed Cooley and Providence fan base, you do not want to see Chris Dunn clutching in any way whatsoever. He's a young man that has battled injuries the last 2+ years, and certainly they need him on the court.
So Providence has a short window here to try and get the blood neutralized from the shorts and stop the blood from flowing. Otherwise, Henton will have to come out of the ball game.
And what they're trying to do is figure out where the blood is coming from, and as you said, they need to stop it. But
looks like he will come out. Bentel will come back in. No, it's not Bentel. It's Chukwu has come in. So Harrison Dunn, who continues to hold his midsection as well, after taking a shot a few moments ago. Dunn the pull-up. Guess he's feeling okay. That's 8 points, matching his early season average.
Well, I tell you what, coming off screens, he elevates and his shot looks very impressive.
Ojo. You can see the wheels turning when he gets the ball on the low post. Nothing is fluid yet for him, but he is so big, and look at that physique. If it ever comes together for that young man, look out.
Well, I remember the first time I saw Dwight Howard in person, and you're just really overwhelmed by his presence and his shoulders. Ojo is the same type of physical presence, and you're right. Once his game catches up to his physical abilities, watch out, because you are not moving him off the block.
Well, he's from Nigeria, but was in the United States for his high school basketball, in Chattanooga for Tennessee Temple High School. But still, relatively speaking, fairly new to the game.
And Doug, when you look at his mechanics on his free throws, he's got a nice looking stroke. It's nothing awkward about it. Nice follow through. And obviously he needs to work on his touch a little bit, but the mechanics are there, so he's only going to continue to get better as he gets more reps out on the court.
Little floater, nice looking teardrop from Deshaun Watkins, sophomore from North Little Rock, Arkansas.
And Doug, it looks like Florida State is now starting to settle down into their offense, and they're getting some better looks.
Well, after falling behind 11-0, they've essentially traded baskets. Lindsay with a clean look. And the freshman from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, has his first bucket of the ball game.
Well, another beautiful find by Chris Dunn. Break down the defense, cross-court pass to a wide-open shooter. Unselfish basketball.
Good to see Jalen Lindsay back on the floor after he suffered a nasty finger injury in the preseason rather. Here comes Cartwright, tries to give it back to Harris, and the Friars keep it.
On that last defensive possession, Providence went the zone, and it really bothered Florida State.
Dunn off the mark.
Providence back in the zone.
Cartwright the takeaway.
And Coach Cooley speaking with him yesterday at practice. He said he was going to switch up the defense as he gets a timeout right here. And right now they have Florida State confused on offense.
Now, if you look at Coach Cooley, you might say that is not the same man they used to have when they hired him. He is 131 pounds lighter than he was 4 years ago when he left Fairfield to come to Providence. He is now a workout fiend, changed his diet altogether. Yesterday morning he ran 16 miles, and then he went for a run in the evening.
Well, not that Ed Cooley needs any shot of energy whatsoever, but he said it changed his life. He said, look, it made me a better everything. A better father, better husband. Not that he needed improvement in any of those areas. He said it made me a better coach because I've been more focused. I love what Ed Cooley has done with this program, not only with his young men on the court, but he's even better man off the court for what he does with these young men, trying to teach them about the game of life. So my hat's off to Ed Cooley, what he's done with his physical shape, and certainly underrated, as I said, as a coach, doing a fantastic job with Providence.
And he's modeled his coaching, a lot of what he does, after somebody you're very familiar with, Al Skinner. They spent 10 years together, one at URI, 9 at BC, at your alma mater. And once Coach Cooley got his opportunity as a head coach at Fairfield, he turned the Stags into regular contenders in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, and then he's done the same in the Big East with Providence.
And you know he can recruit. And that's job number one if you're a college coach. But the other thing I'm even more impressed with, he is an outstanding coach as well, too. You look at what he did last year, all the injuries they had. Obviously, they had Bryce Cotton, but he did a fantastic job changing up defenses as well. So Ed Cooley doing an awesome job at Providence.
Bryce Cotton, by the way, in the D-League, but the Friars haven't missed a beat so far this year. Having scored the first 11 points of the ball game, Providence comfortably in front, 25-9. WatchESPN.com brings you the most live college basketball games on the web. Join us Tuesday, November 25th at 7 o'clock as Tennessee State travels to Charlottesville to take on the 9th-ranked Virginia Cavaliers. So use the Watch ESPN app Tuesday at 7 for Tennessee State at number 9 Virginia. Chris Dunn has really shown himself well so far through the first 14 minutes today.
Well, he's got NBA size for a point guard, and I've been really impressed with his outside shot. You know he can defend, but coming off screens, he elevates, and he's got a nice looking stroke from the perimeter. If he can continue to knock down jumpers from the perimeter, he is going to be a very difficult matchup because his quickness and length and ability to get to the hole.
And again, those 14 assists the last time out against the midshipmen came in only 26 minutes. And I get a sense watching him, similar type feel as in our first game today with Jaron Grant. Under control, not jacking up threes necessarily, involving his teammates. Harris with a chance for three.
And to finish up your point on Chris Dunn, as we're going to take a look at Tyler Harris right here. Nice little up and under move and one. It makes the other teammates around you better. And guys like Tyler Harris, guys like LaDante Henton benefit from Chris Dunn being unselfish with the basketball, breaking down the defense, and then giving them high opportunity looks from the perimeter or for layups.
Malcolm, that foul was on Smith, his second. Thomas, nice use of the window. That's his first field goal, nearly 15 minutes in.
Nice use of the left hand that time by Aaron Thomas.
Robbie Berwick on the floor for Florida State for the first time. Young man from California's Central Coast. Atascadero, California is his hometown.
Right now, Doug, Florida State is going to have to piece together some stops on defense.
Not that way, though. Big left-hander with the sweet finish near the rim.
And this is just uncharacteristic of Florida State. It's just too easy right now on offense for Providence.
Harris had a nice game against Navy as well. 9 points before the half, and with minutes limited in the second half, finished with 11. He's averaging 15 per game, and Coach Cooley raves about his growth from last year to this.
Right now, Florida State on offense. Coach Hamilton trying to get his team to move the ball, get a couple of swings, get the ball to the soft spot of the zone, which is typically the middle or short corner, and then make it easy for yourself and get higher percentage shots.
Rattan Mays still with the dribble. Shot clock down to 4. The Seminoles don't recognize. Berwick did. He catches the rim, but DeRozier with a rebound. So another bad offensive set for Florida State. Quickly the other end, and the Friars get more free throws. Florida State just seems to be sleepwalking through this game.
Yeah, you couldn't ask for a worse start if you're Coach Hamilton in Florida State. Right now, deep in the shot clock, you have to take a contested 3, and then Chris Dunn is off to the races. Another beautiful pass to Harris. Didn't finish, but then LaDontae Hinton cleaning up the boards for Providence.
Saw the look on the face of Coach Hamilton. Gentleman who has seen it all. 2-time ACC Coach of the Year, twice the Big East Coach of the Year from his days with the Hurricanes. And this is his 27th season as a Division I head coach. Matter of fact, you knew him in his first stop at Oklahoma State, right?
Absolutely. Like, every time I see him, we get a good joke about, he says, tell your parents I said hello. I remember him calling and sending all the letters when he was at Oklahoma State, one of the best in the business, very consistent in his demeanor with his players. And all he's done at Florida State is win. We talked about it, 9 straight postseason appearances, 4 NCAA tournaments, 5 NITs, and an ACC championship as well, too.
So why'd you go to Chestnut Hill instead of Stillwater, Oklahoma?
Well, you know, he almost had me. So no disrespect to Oklahoma State, but it's really about geography. I wanted to stay a little closer to home.
Under 4 minutes remaining here in the half. Florida State has averaged 77 points per game in its first 2, stuck on 11 right now. Bad touch pass. DeRozier with the easy steal. Just a bad idea for Monte Brandon.
And again, the inability of Florida State to figure out the zone of Providence. Good call by Ed Cooley to go to really a 2-3 matchup zone against Florida State.
Hinton off the side of the backboard. Here comes Berwick. Brandon goes right at the shot blocker DeRozier, and he's got a chance for 3. Monte Brandon from Greensboro, North Carolina, with his first bucket so far this afternoon. Connecticut, the Providence Friars all over the Florida State Seminoles. 31-13. Join ESPNU tomorrow at noon for Game 3 of the Basketball Hall of Fame tip-off as UMass faces Florida State. We saw the Minutemen already this afternoon. Trying to bounce back tomorrow. Now Providence, after starting with an 11-0 beginning to the ball game, Tyler Harris has gotten himself involved here.
Well, he's shown some nice offense for Providence. Came into this game averaging a little under 16 points a game. Nice little runner in the lane. He's got NBA length, and he's a guy that can create some matchup problems for opposing teams because of his length and ability to cut to the lane.
Well, he had a very good season opener against the Albany Great Danes. 23 points, his career high. Knocked down 3 3-pointers in 4 attempts. And again, he's making that step from his sophomore year to his junior year. Last year, very good as a key part of the Big East champs. 11 points, 5 rebounds a game, shot for good percentages, and all of his numbers are trending in the right direction now.
I think all that offseason work with his brother Tobias Harris, as we talked about, a forward for the Orlando Magic. Hey, when you go up against an NBA guy all summer, your game is going to get better. Coach Cooley loves his work ethic. First guy in the gym, last to leave, and it's showing in his improved game this season.
LaDontae Hinton. Pass intended for Harris, out of bounds. It's been a quiet first half, all things considered, for Hinton. He had that 3-pointer on the first possession of the day, and he's yet to make another field goal since.
But that's what a leader does. Team doesn't need him right now, so he's made some nice passes. He's rebounding. He's playing defense, and that's why Coach Cooley loves him and his approach to the game.
Devin Booker. Pass to the right wing for Brandon. Back to Booker. Has it knocked away. Cartwright with the basketball. Leaves it for Dunn, who throws it down.
Everything going for Providence the right way. Getting stops on defense, getting out in transition, and uncontested dunks in this first half has been the story of this game.
This is the largest lead of the ball game at 19. Phil Kofer has come into the game for the Seminoles, and they just continue to struggle from the floor.
Well, Doug, against that zone, too much standing around. You're passing the ball around the perimeter. You got to try to break it down, either flash a guy to the high post, bring somebody up the ball screen, but too much standing around right now for Florida State on offense against Providence's zone.
Thomas went up as if to shoot. His teammate wasn't ready for it, and it's another Florida State turnover. Six to shoot. Here goes Chris Dunn. Henton, a rainbow three, left it short. 1 minute to go in the half. Thomas tripped on his way to the basket. Foul on Ben Bentel. And that is his third personal foul. So we heard so much about the young man from Wilmington, Delaware, but haven't seen much from him because of fouls here in the first half.
That's an area he's going to have to work on. They need him on the court. His size, strength, rebounding ability. He's got to stay out of foul trouble. On the other end, if you're Coach Hamilton and Florida State, you're looking for any positives to end this half.
Aaron Thomas, honorable mention, All-ACC last year. He was the fourth leading returning scorer in the conference. Getting it done now at the free throw line. Still only made one field goal so far. It's a 17-point Providence lead. And he picks up the foul. Does Thomas.
Chris Dunn's first step is explosive. I mean, I mentioned Rondo. He's got that type of body. He's as explosive in the open court and with his first step as Rajon Rondo. He's long, and I've been impressed, Doug, with his ability to knock down perimeter jumpers. That was an area I didn't see much. Obviously, he's been battling injuries, but his stroke coming off screens in the high pick and rolls or on the wing, it's pure. He's been able to knock him down, and his elevation is excellent.
Well, he's already got 11 points. His career high, 14. That came against Charlotte his freshman year. And again, he is the key to the season, and his health is the key to that. He had his second shoulder surgery last December, and for the first time as a Friar, he is playing fully healthy. Brandon Allen in the game for Florida State. Kofer, he'll have a chance for three. Chukwu whistled for the foul.
Won it a few times in the first half. The bounce goes Florida State's way. And really unfortunate bounce goes right into Florida State's hand. And opportunity for an and-one situation.
Kofer had a solid game the last time out. 6'8" freshman from Fayetteville, Georgia, had 14 points, couple of blocks, couple of steals in the loss Tuesday to Northeastern. And he completes the three-point play.
He originally committed to Tennessee, decommitted when Quanzo Martin left, and certainly this year Florida State and Coach Hamilton are expecting big things from this young man.
Shot clock is off. Dunn, Henton, Harris, DeRozier, and Jalen Lindsey, the 5 on the floor in white for the Friars. Now with 10 to shoot. Trying to get it back to Dunn. He's got it. Back to Henton. Time down to 2 seconds. Out of bounds. Back over to Florida State. Well, that won't help the shooting percentage for Florida State. 23% in that first half. They're actually fortunate down to only be down by 15. But a great look at Chris Dunn, the terrific point guard for the Friars. Back with our halftime show after this. To an 11-0 lead over Florida State, and the Friars have not looked back at the half of our Basketball Hall of Fame tip-off ball game. With Malcolm Huckabee, I'm Doug Sherman. And Malcolm, are you more impressed by the offense or the defense of Providence?
That's a tough one right there. I mean, you look at it. Florida State 0% from the three-point line, 27% from the floor in that first half. I give a lot of credit to Providence. I'm more impressed with their offense. You know they're going to play defense. Ed Cooley really, he demands that of all of his guys. I've been more impressed with their ability to run their offense. Chris Dunn was impressive in that first half. And, you know, offensively, they're clicking on all cylinders. So I would say the offense of Providence right now, if you're Coach Ed Cooley, you got to be awfully pleased with how your team executed in that first half.
Well, the guys in the truck might be our MVPs because they've come up with a couple of highlights from Florida State to show you here.
Yeah, it was really ugly for Coach Hamilton and Florida State in that first half. One of the few highlights, credit to our camera guys finding that, and it was really all Providence. Again, back to that number, you shoot 0% from the three-point line, 27% from the floor. You're going to be down in the first half. And then conversely on the other side, Providence, Chris Dunn was impressive. NBA's type size for a point guard, but more impressed with his stroke. He's got a nice looking pull-up jumper, quick first step. The big fella, DeRozier, stepping out, showing the soft touch. It was all Providence in that first half. And LaDontae Henton showing his leadership, giving the ball up, unselfish basketball all around. You look at the balance that they had, and that's the reason why I think Ed Cooley and Providence are going to contend again for another Big East title.
On our players to watch, Thomas has just the one made field goal and has not gotten into any sort of rhythm, just like the rest of the Florida State team, but Dunn has had it working right from the start.
Yeah, he was impressive, along with all of Providence, but he's the key to their season. Obviously, Providence lost Bryce Cotton, one of arguably the best players in Big East history. I mean, he was that good. And now you step in Chris Dunn, who's been injured. They're going to need him, and I think Providence is going to go as far as he takes them.
It is nice to see a healthy Chris Dunn out there doing his thing here this afternoon for the Friars. Can the Seminoles make a game of it? Down 15 at the Hall of Fame tip-off here at Mohegan Sun. With Malcolm Huckabee, I'm Doug Sherman. And this building today kind of has the feel of a mini Dunkin' Donuts Center, like a small-sized cup of coffee.
This is definitely a home game for Providence. Short drive, and Coach Cooley has to be pleased with how his team performed in that first half.
Just a tremendous fan base for Providence. They have been loyal through thick and thin for many, many years. Big part of the weekend here is honoring Dave Gavitt. To the winner of this event goes the Gavitt Cup. And, of course, he was the patriarch of the Big East and did so many things with USA Basketball, the Dream Team, and its origins. And he just has been a tremendous guiding force for all of basketball at all levels. And so the late Dave Gavitt on a lot of people's minds here at the Hall of Fame Classic.
Doug, I feel blessed to have had the opportunity to play in the Big East Conference. And, you know, obviously he meant a lot to this game of basketball, but certainly I hold a special place in my heart for him creating the Big East, and it was just awesome to be a part of such a great conference. And obviously now it still is a great conference, but, you know, Boston College, my alma mater, has moved on, but certainly had some fun memories.
And we had a chance to see On all of the Providence jerseys, they wear the initials of DG for Dave Gavitt.
2 shots, 2.
And each of these players, while they may not have known Coach Gavitt personally, know of him and know what he meant to the Providence Friars. So again, late tomorrow afternoon, the Gavitt Cup will be handed out as a tip of the cap to a Basketball Hall of Famer. And we also, one of the neat things about working this event for you and I, the opportunity to see Basketball Hall of Famers as they come to this event and get a chance to take a bow in front of the fans.
Right now, Florida State down 13, and Doug, it feels like they're down 20. And you see again, trading baskets with Providence. That time, LaDante Henton drives right down the lane. No resistance by Florida State.
DeRozier with another block shot.
So for Florida State to get back into this game in the second half, they're going to have to get stopped. They're going to have to be better on defense. That's the problem right now. They're giving up way too many easy buckets.
Florida State trying to get Thomas going on the offensive end. He misses the mark. Dunn drops it off to DeRozier, and he will shoot a pair.
Dunn has been really good with the basketball today, breaking down the defense off of a high pick and roll, and that's just a beautiful pass right there by Chris Dunn. He can do so much with the ball. He's so explosive. Really like what he's done so far in this game.
That personal called against the point guard, Devin Bookert. And he'll go out of the game, replaced by Xavier Rattan-Mays. And there you see the broad shoulders of Michael Ojo coming back in. Two foul shots give DeRozier 9 points today.
Again, the 2-3 matchup zone by Providence. Really, Florida State has been unable to really figure out this zone, and that's a good call by the referees right in front of them. Used his off elbow to push off, and it's been a frustrating game so far for Florida State on offense.
And a reach-in foul in the backcourt against Rattan-Mays. One of the points of emphasis that we have heard from the officials this year is that offensive players cannot dislodge a stationary defender, and that is what Thomas did with that lead forearm and got called for the offensive foul. You can't just back your man down or drive into the lane and dislodge somebody without getting called for a personal. LaDante Henton hindered by Smith in his bid to come up the lane to get the ball, and Smith's called for the foul.
When you look at how Providence runs their offense, and that was one of the concerns coming into this game. Speaking with Coach Hamilton, they make tight curls, crisp cuts, and they move very well without the basketball.
Third foul on Jarquez Smith. Chris Dunn, the crossover, the step back, give it off to Harris. LaDante Henton. And it's Seminoles basketball. Rattan-Mays, though, passed it into his own bench, and Leonard Hamilton, his head coach, just bends over at the waist as if he had taken a shot to the stomach. It has been that kind of afternoon for his Seminoles.
But Coach Hamilton is very consistent in his demeanor. He doesn't get too high, doesn't get too down, continues to coach his team. He understands this is a process. He's got a lot of new guys. He's got some talent. Right now, though, they're just not efficient on the offensive end.
Around the rim and out for Cartwright. Phil Kofer off the bench for the Seminoles with a rebound. Thomas feeds the post, and Ojo delivers.
That was a beautiful feed that time by Thomas. Nice entry pass to the post, and Ojo finished it off.
Well, that'll make that shooting percentage go up. Still under 30% for the ball game, though. Henton hands to Dunn. He goes over Ojo for two. Now within one of his career high. That's 13 for the redshirt sophomore from New London, Connecticut, just 20 minutes from where we sit right now.
Right now, Doug, Providence is putting on an offensive clinic with their movement.
Thomas with a one-handed flush. Well, perhaps he can get it going. We saw the nice entry pass for the slam, and then he cuts right down the lane for the easy two. He leads Florida State with 9. Trying to post up Harris. 15 to shoot. Dunn. Here's Dunn. And Harris is going to be called for the foul.
Well, nice entry pass that time by Thomas. And Ojo finishing it off. And then this is just a great individual effort. Aaron Thomas getting after it. And Doug, they're going to need more of that from Thomas. We talked about him, a guy in this discussion of player of the year for the ACC, and struggled in that first half. He needs to pick it up in this last 16 minutes.
Another good offensive set, and the Seminoles get the layup from Brandon. By the way, that foul on Harris was his 3rd, and so he's on the bench for the Friars. Jalen Lindsey back in, off another turnover. A 3rd dunk in short order, and the Seminoles have life.
I think Aaron Thomas got the message. He heard us talking about him. He has picked up the defensive intensity, and now that's back-to-back uncontested dunks.
Dunn, a killer crossover. Hangs in the air just long enough. My goodness, 15, a new career high. And that puts a charge in the crowd here at Mohegan Sun. Latan Mays bricks a 3. And the travel. Florida State has yet to make a 3-point shot here this afternoon. But they're starting to get the feel in terms of getting to the rim. And they're led by the man they call AT, Aaron Thomas. Florida State 29. The Seminoles, after missing 15 of their first 20 shot attempts, have made 6 of their last 9. Our final game of the Basketball Hall of Fame tip-off features Providence taking on Notre Dame, and you can see that game Sunday at 2:30 on ESPN2, as well as the Watch ESPN app. And with that Seminoles surge, if you will, it's been Aaron Thomas leading the way, as you would expect, Malcolm.
And they're going to need more of it from him. Really struggled in that first half, but in the second half, showing off the hops right here. And it started with the defense. He got after it, they got some stops, and then they were able to get out in transition and get some easy opportunities off of turnovers.
Now, he's a young man from West Cincinnati, from the west side of Cincinnati. Grew up in a tough and violent neighborhood at Fay Apartments and had the opportunity to play closer to home in Cincinnati, Louisville, Ohio State, but he fell in love with Coach Hamilton and said, you know what, I want to change the scenery, I want to start fresh. Still loves his hometown, but wanted to come down to Tallahassee, and it's worked out beautifully.
I like his size, like his athletic ability, and they're expecting big things from him this year for Florida State.
As is the rest of the ACC. Other coaches like Jim Boeheim just rave about the abilities of AT. He's got 11 points to lead Florida State, 5 rebounds. Henton, no. The long rebound will stay with Providence as it goes out of bounds. Looked like Brandon thought that it might be his possession, never went after it.
Yeah, and those situations right there where there's any doubt, grab it if you have a chance.
DeRozier hands it back to Dunn. Nice feed. Henton hangs in the air for another layup.
And another beautiful find by Dunn. And that's been the story of this game. Chris Dunn breaking down the Florida State defense, and he's finding guys.
Thomas looking for his shots now. No look pass, DeRozier. And a push on the rebound.
And this has been the story. Chris Dunn breaking down the defense. He drew 3-4 defenders, and then unselfish again with the ball. He's so quick, that first step in the lane, and then his passing ability has been on display today. He has been impressive.
Foul number 1 on Monte Brandon. Dunn kept trying to find a teammate. Nobody came free, and so he put it up. Down 15, Florida State with the basketball, and another quick turnover. Cartwright the takeaway. He's got Henton with him, and LaDante throws it down. Timeout, Florida State. Who says this is a neutral site game? Feels like the Dunkin' Donuts Center as LaDante Henton makes himself right at home. Back in Uncasville, Connecticut, not far from Providence, Rhode Island, where at the Dunkin' Donuts Center this year, the Friars have got 9,500 for their opener against Albany, over 4,000 for Binghamton, over 6,000 for Navy in their last game, and I don't know what the number is here today, but it's definitely a partisan crowd for the Friars, and so far they have had plenty to cheer about, especially in the person of Chris Dunn, the redshirt sophomore point guard with 15 points, a new career high.
Well, Doug, you can see the talent is there. NBA-type body. He's quick. You can see why he was so highly recruited and regarded coming out of high school. The injuries. And speaking with Coach Cooley yesterday, he said, look, we limit really him in practice. We tell him, don't dive after any loose balls.
Yep.
If there is a loose ball situation, just let it go. He's too valuable to this team to have on the court. And I'll tell you what, man, what a talent he is. He has been impressive today in this game.
You know how Kentucky has 9 McDonald's All-Americans and Duke has 9 McDonald's All-Americans on their present teams. Foul on DeRozier. Ojo will go to the line. Providence has 1. That's Chris Dunn, and he's the only McDonald's All-American to go to Providence in the past 2 decades. You've got to go all the way back to God Shamgod, the last time the Friars had somebody who was thought of in that ilk coming out of high school.
And he is so impressive. And you can see the maturation. He's getting so much more comfortable on the court. And it shows in his game. And if his health is there, he is an NBA player. I mean, he has all the physical tools that you want in a point guard. He's long. He actually has a really nice looking shot coming off screens, but he's got the one thing you can't teach, and that's the athleticism and quickness. His first step is so quick, it's almost impossible to guard on the perimeter.
Well, Kara Lawson, who played for more than a decade in this building in the WNBA, was telling us yesterday that she used to play pickup basketball in this arena against Chris Dunn when Chris was in high school, and Kara Lawson could not keep Chris Dunn in front of her.
Enjoyed my time yesterday speaking with her, and obviously great history playing for Tennessee. One of the great, all-time great women's players. And
Henton continues to heat it up. He's got 13 points. Ojo off the screen and roll. He'll go back to the line. Well, we talked about how big Ben Bento looked. He looks rather small against Michael Ojo.
Well, it was like when I was playing for Miami and I thought Alonzo Mourning, my teammate, was huge, and then I saw Shaq in person. Now, that's what Ojo is. He is massive inside, and I think they found something really right now. If Providence is going to play man-to-man, if I'm Coach Leonard Hamilton, I'm going down low to the big fella Ojo every possession, play through him, force Providence to either go to zone or double team him.
You saw Bentel, 6'8", 230. Ojo is 7'1", 292 pounds.
And there's not much fat on that 292-pound frame.
No, not at all. Not at all. There are 3 7-footers on this Florida State roster. We haven't gotten a chance to see much of Kyle Turpin, who was in the starting lineup but has been in foul trouble right from the start. Boris Bojanovsky has also been in the ball game, as well as Ojo. There's Lindsey knocking down the jump shot. He's got 3 more. 51-32 Friars.
Doug, it continues to be an offensive clinic for Providence. Dribble penetration, unselfish basketball, and they're getting wide open looks.
Thomas no. Harris got a hand on it. Henton the rebound, and here comes Dunn. Providence shooting over 50% for the game, and that number continues to climb thanks to Henton.
Chris Dunn puts so much pressure on the defense, and when he drives, he collapses the defense, and he's been unselfish with the ball.
Foul on Jalen Lindsey, reaching in. It's all Providence. LaDontae Henton leading the way, up 53-32. Florida State 32 with 11:23 remaining here in the second half. Our final game of the Basketball Hall of Fame tip-off features Providence taking on Notre Dame, and you can see that game on Sunday at 2:30 on ESPN2 and watch ESPNN. A couple of former Big East Conference rivals going toe-to-toe. The Friars and LaDontae Henton still in the Big East, and the senior getting it done here in the second half. Now,
you look at his stat sheet, 15 points, 6 rebounds, and Coach Cooley just calls him flat out, he's a leader. Ever since he stepped foot on Providence's campus, he has led this team. He's a guy that can get a lot of things done on the court. I really like his ability to stretch the defense. He can go down low. He's a really difficult player to match up with.
Henton from Lansing, Michigan, originally signed with the Dayton Flyers, but when Brian Gregory left to take the Georgia Tech job, Henton changed his mind and he became Ed Cooley's first recruit for the Friars. And all he did was become the first Friar on the All-Big East rookie team in 2012. He has been all conference. As a freshman, he had 33 points in a game at South Florida. That's a school record. Went for 37 against Brown as a sophomore. And he just keeps getting better and better. And the biggest stat, as far as I'm concerned, with LaDontae Henton, he has helped this team get better and win games. They won the Big East Championship with him leading the way last year as a junior, and certainly they should be in contention this year.
And that's what a leader is. A leader wins games. They do the little things to help their team win. Now, he's not the most athletic guy, but he's a great rebounder. He uses position and size. He can stretch the D because he has the ability to shoot three-pointers, and then he's crafty with the basketball. Really love what he does on the court.
And obviously, Bryce Cotton was the alpha dog on last year's team for Providence. He was so good. In the postseason run that he was on, he was marvelous. And they had Kadeem Batts, who brought some physicality, some toughness. Both those guys are playing in the D-League now. This team also lost Josh Fortune, who was more of a spot-up shooter, and he has transferred to Colorado. So that's 3 big losses, and so far through nearly 4 games of the season, we have not seen Providence struggling to figure out who's going to fill those roles.
And that's the reason why I say Ed Cooley is underrated as a coach. Now, you know he can recruit, And that's obviously half the battle at the Division I level. But he is really a person that can manage the game. You look at in this game right here, he switches to a 2-3 matchup zone, really bothered Florida State. So the ability to make adjustments in game, I think, is an underrated part of Ed Cooley's coaching game.
Well, you don't get asked to coach for USA Basketball if you can't coach. And he worked as an assistant coach this summer with some of the sport's biggest names. Three-point bucket by Thomas. That's the first made three for Florida State here today. But he worked with Sean Miller under Billy Donovan for the 2014 USA Basketball Under-18 national team. Second time he's worked for USA Basketball. And those experiences only can help the Providence program.
Right now, Florida State trying to go on a little mini run. And
crowd doesn't like the foul call against Jalen Lindsey.
And yeah, that's they may have a point right there. And he's trying to defend. He didn't really see the Florida State big running up the court, so pretty hard collision.
Excuse me, it was almost like an unintentional moving pick by Bojanovsky. He was not trying to run interference for his teammate. It just worked out that way.
Yeah, and in that situation, I would have liked a no-call play on. I think it was, like you said, the key word, unintentional collision.
I agree. Midway through the second half, Providence has yet to take the foot off the gas pedal. They jumped out to an 11-0 lead, and they just keep on keeping on. Here comes LaDante Henton if he can gain control of that basketball. Dunn along the baseline. Good spacing all the way around for the Friars, and they reset when they didn't find a shot that they liked. Chris Dunn has been in complete control of this basketball game right from the opening tip. Pull up. Henton the offensive rebound. Aaron Thomas exhorting its teammates, saying, let's go. But there has been very little life out of the Seminoles here today. Dunn has it knocked away. Nice look to the corner for Henton.
Right now, 8:48 to go in this game. Florida State's going to have to get into their offense quicker and continue to get stops.
Tan Mays, well short on the turnaround. No look to Henton, a little too far on the entry pass. But it was the Seminoles who were the last to touch.
Good idea right there. Hinton had his man sealed. Just a little bit more touch on it that time. And that would have been another uncontested layup for Providence.
Deshaun Watkins and Michael Ojo have returned for Florida State. Kyron Cartwright. Giving Dunn a break. Dunn working off the ball this possession. Now he's got it in his hands. Back to Cartwright. Little teardrop over the long arm of Phil Kofer for two more. First field goal for the freshman from Compton, California. DeRozier pulls down the miss. Back the other way. Dunn with an ill-advised pass. Taken away by Watkins.
One of the few bad plays by Dunn today in this game.
Kofer trying to post up on Henton. Now on the switch. Off the glass and in for Monte Brandon. Timeout, Seminoles.
Timeout, Florida State.
Well, everything has been difficult for Florida State. Even when they score a bucket, the degree of difficulty is a runner in the lane contested, a big flying at you. And that's really been the story of this game for Florida State. Everything has been contested on the other end for Providence. They have been getting everything they want, uncontested layups, uncontested three-point shots, and really uncharacteristic of this Florida State team.
I think there's been very little doubt as to who the best player on the floor has been today. Leonard Hamilton will tell you the way Chris Dunn has played has really impacted this ball game, and Dunn coming off his best performance as a college player last time out against the Naval Academy. Even though his stat line might not be as gaudy here today, I'd be curious to ask Coach Dooley, or rather Coach Cooley, excuse me, what he thinks about the Navy game as compared to his performance out of Dunn today.
Well, I think Dunn is going to be a guy that's not going to average 20 points a game. He's going to be a guy that's 10 points, 8 assists, 5 steals, 6 rebounds. He's going to be one of those guys that fills up the stats and does a lot of good things and shut down the other team's best perimeter player. I think he's that good on defense with his length and athleticism. Again,
Coach Cooley said that his redshirt sophomore point guard could be the best on-ball perimeter defender in the country if he stays healthy. Dante Henton now with 17 points to lead all scorers. Watkins at the other end. 7 minutes left in regulation. 57-39 Friars.
Right now, Florida State may have to start junking up their defense, maybe try to go to some full court pressure, trapping out of passes to the wing, and try to do anything to slow down this Providence offense.
Around the rim, off the glass and in. Terrific touch by Jalen Lindsey, his third made three-point shot today. Thomas lost it trying to go behind his back, and he just has a disgusted look on his face.
There's the leadership of LaDante Henton. A lot of guys would have jacked that three up. He understands time is on his side right now. No need to take a quick three. Pull the ball back out, run some time and clock.
Junior Lobamba has come into the game for the first time. Lobamba from Montreal. Personal on Michael Ojo, and that'll take us to our media timeout. Same story since the opening tip. All Providence Friars cruising up 60-39. Join ESPNU tomorrow at noon for Game 3 of the Basketball Hall of Fame tip-off as UMass faces Florida State. The Minutemen earlier today led 23-13 over Notre Dame, but then the Irish just took over. They closed out the half with an 18-5 run, and the Minutemen never recovered in the second half. They'll try to rebound against the Seminoles tomorrow at noon on ESPNU. LaDante Henton leads all scorers in this ball game with 17.
Well, he's been efficient, finishing at the rim. Chris Dunn again, unselfish with the ball. LaDante Henton using his body control, and this is what I think makes him special. He's a difficult matchup on the perimeter. You put a smaller guy on him, he has the ability to go in the post. You put a bigger guy on him, he can put the ball on the floor. He is a matchup nightmare for opposing teams.
And you saw there, Dunn and Henton have combined for 32 points. The entire Florida State team is stuck on 39. Bad pass by DeRozier, taken away by Phil Kofer. DeRozier makes sure he won't go and score a bucket. He'll have to shoot him from the foul line.
Well, if you're Coach Hamilton, this is what you want to see. Guys not giving up on the game, continue to play hard. Obviously, you have a big deficit right now, down 60-39, 5:51 to go. But that's what coaches look for in these games. What guys are going to continue to play?
Haven't gotten much of a chance to see Phil Kofer do his thing, but the freshman from Fayetteville, Georgia, was ranked 56th in this year's ESPN 100. Big-time recruit. His mom and dad both were athletes at the University of Tennessee. His mom, Reba, played for Pat Summitt and the Lady Volunteers. His dad, oh, by the way, played for a decade in the NFL and was a Pro Bowler in 1988. And so Kofer, who, as you mentioned earlier, Malcolm, originally committed to the Volunteers before Conzo Martin left and took the Cal job and wound up at Florida State, has a huge upside. Just haven't seen him really in the flow so far here today.
Well, if we could fast forward to January, February, they're going to look completely different. Now, he's got some young talent. Now, they haven't not gelled yet, but believe me, Leonard Hamilton will get these guys playing some good ball. by the time they get into conference play. And I think they will be a completely different looking team in January and February.
Well, that's certainly the hope of every team, and Ed Cooley was saying the same thing as he was again trying to sell us on the fact that his team's too young and this non-conference schedule is too much for us to handle right now as they're up by 19. But one of the earmarks of Ed Cooley coach teams, both at Fairfield and here at Providence, is that they do improve as the season goes on, and he fully counts on this group for, as good as they have been so far this season, to be even better in February and March. Ojo with the block shot. Personal foul against Watkins.
Again, Dunn slicing down the defense. Missed the layup right there, and then probably on this one right here, should have pulled it back out, run some more clock, but that's the way the ball has bounced today. Everything going Providence's way. Loose balls, 50-50 balls have all gone to Providence.
Well, the words for Ed Cooley that came out of his mouth repeatedly about LaDontae Henton yesterday: love him. Love him. Couldn't say it often enough.
And you can see why. He makes all the right decisions. Like I said, he's not going to wow you with his athleticism, but difficult to guard on the perimeter. He's undersized. He rebounds. He's under control, and he's just a leader. That's the best way to describe him, and I think Coach Cooley knows his player, and he was spot on. LaDontae Henton is just a leader.
One of the other things Coach Cooley likes about Henton is that as a leader, he allows for the coach to let him have it in practice, to let everybody else see, hey, none of you is above me giving you criticism and critique. And quite often he's able to lay into LaDontae, and that sets a tone as well. There he is getting a hand on a pass. Here comes the left-hander on a give and go. Another assist for Dunn.
I know Coach Cooley is loving that fast break right there. Great defense. Give it up, give it back, finish at the rim. Unselfish basketball. Providence is rolling right now.
A little no look. Another dime for Dunn. You think LaDontae Henton likes having his running mate out there? Hashtag SC Top 10 on the no-look pass and the finish for Henton. 15 points now, 6 assists for Dunn. And LaDontae Henton keeps adding to his totals as well. That's 22 points for the senior from Lansing, Michigan.
Doug, one of the things that opposing teams do, they watch film. Yeah, I can guarantee you right now, Leonard Hamilton is going to have his guys working on zone offense, how to break down the zone. That really has been the story of this game. Their inability, and obviously they had some breakdowns on defense. They were not very good. I know they're going to get better, but zone, breaking down the zone. They too much standing around. They didn't get the ball to the high post or short corner, and then they settled for quick contested shots. That's something that Leonard Hamilton will get his guys back in practice and have them working on breaking down the zone. They will get better as this season goes along on the offense.
But it will be a very short turnaround for Florida State. They play at noon tomorrow against Massachusetts. You can see that game on ESPNU. I have it for you on the ESPN networks. Ben Bentil trying to get himself into the scoring column.
And Coach Cooley immediately goes to his bench. That's not the shot he wants his big guy taking. He will understand, no matter you have a big league or not, play within the offense. That's not what he wants his big fella doing, shooting contested threes early in the shot clock when you have a sizable lead.
Kofor with a nice touch. Under 4 minutes to go. And if you're Ed Cooley, do you start thinking about getting Henton and Dunn and Harris and DeRozier out of the game if you can, with an eye on tomorrow afternoon? Lindsey buries his 4th three-pointer of the day.
Yeah, I would say around the 2 minute mark. The coaches, Doug, all of them are the same. They never like taking their guys out because until there's zeros on the clock and somebody has won or lost, they never feel comfortable.
Chris Dunn commits the foul. His coach says, yes, that's a foul. Come over here. Back at Mohegan Sun. We are inside the Mohegan Sun Arena. That waterfall is just outside the doors at the top of the concourse. 68-45 all Providence over Florida State. And this beautiful facility. Not a capacity crowd today, but a very good showing for the folks from Providence. A number of them have departed with the Friars and LaDante Henton in complete control, but he hasn't done it by himself. He and Chris Dunn have been quite a 1-2 punch here today.
Yeah, and they've been very impressive. You look at the stat line for LaDante Henton, 22 points, 8 rebounds, 4 steals. What hasn't he done for Providence? Then for Florida State, it's been a long afternoon for Coach Hamilton and Florida State. We know he has some young talent. They will, as I talked about, get better.
At the free throw line, sophomore from Haddock, Georgia, out of Jones County High School, Jarquez Smith. And he's listed at 6'9", but plays much bigger than that because he's got a 7 feet 1 inch wingspan. When he walls up, he really walls up.
And he played a small role last year, put on some weight and strength over the summer, and he's another guy that they're expecting to get some production out of.
Henton, wide open jumper at the 2-point shot. And the Friars just keep on keeping on. 24 points. Again. My goodness.
I think right now Coach Cooley's got to think about getting Chris Dunn out of the game. You talked about him managing him with his shoulder situation. The last thing you want to have is him get injured. 2:23 left and the game's well in hand.
Henton could not save that basketball. And indeed it looks like Chris Dunn's afternoon is over. The standing ovation because he has been getting it done, both Chris Dunn and LaDante Henton.
Well, I tell you what, that is one of the best combos I've seen in this early basketball season, and big reason why I think Ed Cooley and the Providence Friars are going to have a very good chance of repeating as Big East champs.
Chukwu has come back into the game for the Friars, as has Kyron Cartwright, who will run the point with Dunn out of the ball game. And now emptying the bench is Coach Cooley. Nice pass inside. Monte Brandon now with 11. Time called just to get the Friars reserves in. Henton with 24 points goes out. And receives a well-earned standing ovation. Casey Woodring, a walk-on from Darien, Connecticut's come in. And Ted Bancroft, he's a walk-on, but he's not your typical walk-on. He's a 6'6" grad student who has played some big-time minutes when needed. I did the Puerto Rico tip-off a couple of years ago, and that young man was a superstar. He played 45 minutes in a game because of injuries, and that's why the folks here in New England love this young man. I tell you, he played 45 minutes against Penn State 2 years ago, nicknamed White Lightning, And if we can get a face shot of him, he's playing with 2 black eyes. He's not afraid to mix it up. There it is. Now, when I saw him about a week ago when he first got injured, it looked like he had eye black on. And he comes in. He's been sitting on the bench for the last 2 hours, and he buries a 3 like it's nothing.
I'll tell you what, and that's very difficult to do. Sitting the whole afternoon, you come in, you're cold, and your first attempt is a 3-ball, and you bury it. Coach Cooley's staff, and obviously this Providence crowd love this young man.
Well, this is his 75th game that he's played in each of the last 2 years. He has played in most every Providence game, but that was only his 6th made 3-pointer in his career. He looked like Chris Dunn putting that up. All right, maybe not. Lob to Chukwu, could not finish. Tom Planick is also coming to the game for the Friars. See if he can get a shot at the basket.
And Doug, a guy that we did not talk about, that I think is going to be equally as important in the rotation, is Cartwright. You know, Dunn, obviously you need him out on the court all the time, but you need a backup point guard. You need another primary ball handler on the court. And I like what Coach Cooley has done. He's played Dunn off the ball a few times. So I think Cartwright, he's going to be an important player for them as they get into Big East Conference play.
Well, you can't have enough guys who can handle the basketball and distribute. And while Chris Dunn has every appearance of being a star guard for the next couple of years, like you say, it's good to have Cartwright there as well for sure. Planick. He will go to the line. And so the freshman from Oak Park, Illinois, out of Fenwick High School, is looking for his first points as a collegiate player. He's played in a couple of games this year, 0 for 2 from the floor. And I give credit to these fans. They know what's going on. You know, it really does feel like the Dunkin' Donuts Center here today. They are here and cheering for every single last player on the bench.
Well, these are the guys that do all the work in practice, don't get many opportunities to get on the court, and the crowd appreciates that and understands the importance of these guys getting in and getting an opportunity to get out onto the court.
And so Planick has scored his first college point. Casey Woodring picks up his first foul. Woodring appeared in 7 games last year and scored 5 points. So the urgency isn't there for him quite so much as it was for Planick to get a shot up. Rattan Mays at the line. And now the Friars can dribble it out if they so choose. Bancroft again. The people's choice.
I like it. I think that nickname should stick. The people's choice. And I don't think people really can appreciate how difficult that is. You come in cold, you've been sitting, and your first 2 attempts are 3s, and you bury both of them.
Well, he just finished what Chris Dunn and LaDante Henton started. Impressive from the beginning. Ed Cooley's club jumped to an 11-0 lead and never looked back. 80-54 your final score.
Well, it was all Providence from the get-go. Defensively, offensively, they were efficient. And I think today we saw Chris Dunn show why he was so highly recruited coming out of high school. I think Providence has got another star guard in Chris Dunn.
So from Malcolm Huckabee, I'm Doug Sherman. The final score once again, Providence 80, Florida State 54. Don't forget to join us on ESPNU tomorrow at noon for more action from the Basketball Hall of Fame tip-off. It'll be Florida State against UMass, noon Eastern tomorrow. To watch this entire game on replay, as well as other games on our family of networks, Go to watchespn.com. This is a presentation of ESPN.